Thank you for tuning in to another episode of WGC Fits. Today we are answering all of your questions. We have a person swinging who is going to be slightly slower than Ian. We're looking for that average kind of 7-iron swing speed, kind of like mid-70s. And the goal is to show you the difference between the Mizuno line from Mizuno 221 all the way up to the Hot Metal Pro. So, take it away, Mr. Trent, with our average swing speed.
Hello everyone, I'm going to try this today. Golf professional here at Windmill Golf Center, one of the lead fitters. I need to get a little bit less speed than Ian, so I guess I get to be the voluntold person to do this. So there's Ian. So we're going to go, it's a little cold out today, but we're still going to do it and have some fun doing it.
So we're going to start off, like I said, with the Hot Metal High Launch Super Game Improvement Iron. And the main thing that we're going to be looking at with this average kind of swing speed, if you will, is going to be launch condition, okay? And then Trent is going to show us, while hitting, kind of what our launch conditions can look like if we don't have enough speed to maybe make a blade like a 221 work so well for us. So here we go. Now, just so everybody knows, we have this club fit for Trent swinging pseudo 78 to kind of 80 miles an hour. It's regular flex, steel shaft, standard length, standard lie. So pretty close to what Mr. Trent's got in the bag. Albeit softer than what he normally would play.
Softer and a lot lighter.
A lot lighter, yes, because weight's important. We got good ones. So we'll switch it up. You want me to close the door in between? No, you're good. We will switch it up, and we are now going to go with the Mizuno Game Improvement Iron, which is the Hot Metal.
So that one, it's slowed it down just a little bit. Launched a little lower. Mm-hmm. Loft's a little stronger here, so as Ian kind of mentioned, it probably should go a little bit further.
A little bit further, but it should total, you know, they're made to complement.
I would say with this, and not making this up, say with the slower swing speed, it's harder to get it up in the air.
Yeah, that right there was a really good example of what I would expect.
There we go. That should be better.
All right, Trent, so I'm going to switch these clubs up. We're going to go to the 225 next. But I want you to tell everyone visually the differences that you felt like you saw just from launch.
So visually, I mean, JPX Hot Metal, the normal game improvement, just seemed like it's coming out flatter. It doesn't seem like it's as easy to get up in the air.
Okay. Now, did it still...
Where high launch just seems like it just wants to go up in the air.
Just goes and goes, right?
That's what it's designed to do, so it's pretty good that that's what it does.
I think we're seeing really what the two clubs are intended to do, right? Mm-hmm. Based on swing speed, right?
So this is
the 225. This is a player's distance kind of offering from Mizuno. Now, when we talk about player's distance, typically what we're talking about are stronger lofts, ball speed, and it does require normally a bit of speed to really get optimal launch out of these. So we'll see what this looks like. So we have the player's distance offering for Mizuno, the Mizuno Pro 225 with the average swing speed.
I mean, visually, I play a golf club that looks more like this. So even mine's just a traditional cavity back golf club. But visually it looks, for me, visually it looks so much better.
Now, let's look at the ball flight here. I want you to do one more. Give me an idea of what you're grading launch at.
Say it's kind of in between the two.
Mm-hmm. Does just without looking at numbers from TrackMan, does it look playable to your eye from there?
It still looks a little low.
Okay.
But it's certainly, I think it's more playable than at this speed for me, Hot Metal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's probably spinning more
Yeah,
in this golf club.
it seems good so far, numbers wise. Little screamer there. All right, let's go now to the 221, Trent.
Oh, I nuked that one. Well,
Okay, lastly, we have a player's blade, Trent.
Okay.
This is the Mizuno Pro 221. Let's see what a blade does at 78, 80 miles an hour.
Well, just from a look standpoint, it looks so much better.
Definitely.
To me.
Beautiful golf club right there.
What's nice about a blade is that it doesn't have all that modern tech in it, so it's not going to shoot off the face, but it does have loft, so it'll get it up in the air based on loft. Now, distance-wise, it's not going to go as far, but height-wise, we should see, I would say it's probably going to be close to, at least the first one, visual to that high launch. It's pretty much in that window.
I'm a big fan of loft. I think loft offers a lot in terms of forgiveness and sometimes gets overlooked because everybody wants distance, distance, distance. So loft is, I always tell people, loft is your friend.
So if I brought out my golf club, loft-wise, this one's going to be very similar to mine. What I would have to say is, it really is not that bad out here. It's actually not. It feels fine.
Yeah, it's actually not.
It's what, about 20 degrees?
25, yeah. I checked before we come out here. All right, I think we have a good sample set here. So tell us a little bit about what you felt visually with that one in terms of launch, Trent.
So I say visually with this one, again, this is probably closest to what I'm used to anyway, from a loft perspective and from a, I guess, forgiveness perspective. So I expected it to be higher. It did exactly what I thought it would do. It doesn't go as far.
Correct.
I expect it to. It's not designed to go far. So
correct.
But it is designed to launch just because of loft. So it was kind of comparable to that high launch in that it got it up in the air.
Got it up in the air.
But distance-wise, it's certainly going to be, it was probably 10 yards shorter.
So it's fair to say, as long as we understand from a playing perspective, kind of what the differences are in iron design from a manufacturing standpoint, right?
Correct.
It's not to say that a player that maybe isn't swinging 100 miles an hour can't play a club like this potentially,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
We just have to understand realistically what the differences are designed to do, right?
So one of the interesting things I see looking at the numbers up there is one of the categories is called dynamic loft. That's kind of loft at impact. So what I saw was the dynamic loft between the Hot Metal High Launch and the Pro 221. The dynamic lofts are really similar, 26.5 and 26.1 and 26.5, but the distances those irons went were way different. The blade, the 221, went 151 average carry, where the high launch went 162. So I'm imparting the same amount of loft in both golf clubs, but the jumpiness or the explosion or the game improvement having some distance element into it, ball speed, it's just pushing it out there a lot farther at that same speed. Matter of fact, I actually swung the 221 a little faster and hit it shorter. And the height's not too different. So again, going back to, I play a golf club. Me personally, what's best for me is I play a golf club more like that 221 because I don't necessarily need it to go farther, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people want it to go farther. So you can kind of see why it would do that.
All right, now let's look at, I want to specifically look at what our launch condition looks like. So we're going to look at launch angle first here. So we're going to be looking at this column. When we were launching the Super Game Improvement iron, which is the Mizuno High Launch, right? Our launch angle was at 22 degrees. So it was
Correct.
The highest. And that would make sense, right? When we look at the Game Improvement iron, or the Hot Metal, our launch goes down. So it's 20.6. When we put the player's distance iron in there, it's the lowest at 19.7. And then when we put the blade in your hand, you're back at 21.2. So from a launch perspective, the two that you launched the highest, let's say, were the Hot Metal High Launch and the blade, which would make sense based on loft and where the center of gravities are in these golf clubs, right?
Correct.
The next thing that we're going to look at is peak height, because peak height is a very important number because it directly correlates to landing angle, right? I know that you as well as I, when we're doing iron fittings, landing angle is a very important number. So we have to make sure the ball goes up in the air.
Probably, yeah, one of the most important.
It's the most important, right?
Height, landing angle, and dispersion. Those are the things I worry about. Not necessarily distance. I want it to go a consistent distance.
Exactly. I just want to know where it's going to go, but
Correct.
It needs to stop. What I always tell people is we need to know where it's going to go and if it's going to stop when it gets there,
Correct.
right? So with the high launch, peak height was 101, produced a landing angle of 48.5. I love those two numbers. Perfect. All over what I want to see, right? With the hot metal, we were at 89 peak height.
So down 12 feet.
Down, yep. And then our landing angle was 43.9. So again, a little bit lower than where we actually want to see it, right?
So average, not bad, but not...
It's not bad, but it's not great. Average, I want to see it around 46, 47, right? So it's a little bit shy of where we want. We go to the player's distance, or the 225. We're at 84 miles an hour, or 84 feet height, peak height, and then a 44.7 landing angle. So again, pretty good. A little bit better than the hot metal, is which kind of what we thought and we saw versus the launch. And then we go to the blade, we're back at 93 and 48.4. So it suggests, just as we were talking, right? Loft, center of gravity, launch condition, gives us playable numbers. From here, looking at the numbers, right? I would fit you on this day either into the super game improvement or the blade based on the level of forgiveness that you wanted, based on our outcome that we see from a number standpoint. And that's with you swinging at 80 miles an hour. So we're pretty close to our average swing speed. Pretty good. You agree?
Yeah, I would say that that's kind of what I expected. It's nice to see it play out exactly how I expected.
We wanted, yeah.
I wasn't sure it would, but it did. It played out. And the funny thing, I look up there and you look at the spins, and the spins being about where I expected to. So
100%, right on where I'd expect it to be with these clubs. So all in all, there's nothing that suggests a slower swing speed can't play a thinner profile golf club, as long as we understand what comes with that, right?
Right.
And then there's also nothing that suggests a higher swing speed can't play a golf club that is in that kind of game improvement window. If you need help, you need help, right? It's just how it is.
Correct.
So the fitting process at the end of this is important, right? Get you nailed and dialed in where we need to go. All in all, I think we did pretty good. Right?
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you for turning in to another episode of WGC Fits. Stay tuned next week. We'll see you.